You're an expert in Jiang Man Ching so many years. You've trained with the teachers themselves. So you have a first-hand experience of that system.
Well, I've been doing this for so many years, but it seems like it's not complete or it doesn't get you anywhere.
It's interesting you say that because I know Jiang Man Ching practitioners with your years of experience who don't feel that way, who don't have your opinion. They
So what do
are
they say? What do they say?
they're very satisfied, of course.
Okay.
They've got students, the whole thing. Before you contacted me, and this is a very important psychological point, that you came in with a pre-existing discontent or not complete satisfaction with your Tai Chi. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So compared to the other guy or other gal who's not even looking outside because they're content, you've had an eye out. I don't know for how long, right? For
Very long.
okay, all right, okay. Very long?
Yeah.
How many years? No,
But,
I don't mean
more than 20.
no, wait. You've been doing this for 30 years, is that right? 30, 40?
Yeah, I started in 85.
Oh, all right. Okay, 85. So that
So
makes that's 40 years.
almost 40 years ago.
Let's just say 40. So somewhere within your development and your training, halfway through 20 years, which in general would already be a master in a system, right? 20
Hmm.
years. Okay. So you did the discipline, you fulfilled the agenda with the loyalty, perseverance, research. And when you reach that 20-year peak, when mastery should have come, a self reflection took place within you, and you weighed what you had after that 20 years. And then from that 20 years to now, which is another 20 years, right? There's been an
Yeah.
ongoing recognition within you that there needs to be something more to this practice.
Yeah.
And so it stands to reason that the last 20 years, you've probably, I'm just imagining this, Jan, you've probably been sampling a lot of different things in search for that completeness, right?
Hmm.
Last 20 years.
Yeah.
And would you say that you've been active at this, pretty aggressive, or sort of just whatever you come across, you just dabble a little bit?
Yeah. I've been following different systems to see if that would complement what I already knew.
Or add, right? Add.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. But well, it never really happened.
When did you get your acupuncture training and license? Was that 10 years ago, 15 years?
In 88.
Very early. So acupuncture was not one of those things that you were tried out in order to look for the solution because you did that as you were learning Tai Chi. And so I've got to change my thinking. Acupuncture was not one of those things that you were maybe would provide a solution to the incompleteness. You had that already from the start.
Yeah, I guess if you compare my experience in acupuncture and Tai Chi, it's quite similar. The only difference is that in acupuncture, I did find systems that gave me more results, more satisfaction,
Mhm.
um, and that didn't really happen in Tai Chi. Although I love doing the form, I love the flowing movements in the Cheng Man Ching form.
Yeah.
Um,
You look good.
but
You look good.
thank you.
Yeah.
But I did not have the feeling that it took me somewhere, that something developed, something that was always said, just do the form, just relax, and it will come. Well,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say because of the practical nature of acupuncture, you're getting results, you're making a living, there's a lot of reward that comes with that activity. Also, because if you would attend a workshop here, or maybe let's say the five element acupuncture, then the stone style, then another one, and then you're literally applying it the next day in the clinic. So you're getting direct feedback from patients as to the efficacy of a method. So there was much more evidence-based
Right.
proving going on.
Mhm. Yeah.
Did you ever tie the acupuncture in with the Tai Chi? Because, as we both know, it's very popular to teach Qigong and Tai Chi together with acupuncture training. So did that dissatisfaction with the Tai Chi, and I'm going to add Qigong to that, relate at all to your acupuncture, or did you keep them separate? When I say Tai Chi, I mean Qigong. I mean, if you know Tai Chi, you know Qigong. So I'm just putting them
Yeah.
together. And in acupuncture schools, Qigong is very popular.
Hmm.
Tai Chi is very popular. They're often considered the same, and that's fine at that level of health. That's all good. So my question was, with this searching, did you ever try to connect that with your acupuncture activity?
I don't think so.
So you kept them separate
Yeah.
because when you put the needle in or when you apply energy, that would come from your cultivation practice.
Hmm.
So there's a relationship. The more gong, which means power or skill,
Hmm.
the more gong you develop in your own person, the more gong you see in effectiveness with patients. The way the culture is designed is that they're inextricable. In your search for the more fulfilling or whole cultivation practice, also comes benefit to your healing practice because of the relationship they have with each other.
Hmm.
Now, that's where I think you can understand then the term I coined, which is heavy medicine hands training,
Hmm.
which brings together exactly these two elements. What I saw was exactly what you're expressing, which is a separation, a disconnect between the martial and the healing.
Hmm.
When in the old days, and I'm not saying there are many people today, and you can't assume just because it's an old Chinese guy that they have it. That's one of the biggest naive assumptions of all, that just because you're Asian and you live in China, you must have the secrets. Okay,
Yeah.
that's not
Hmm.
the training you're getting now has that mission, has
Hmm.
that method, has that design, and that whatever you develop on the martial side will concurrently at the exact same time bring the same abilities, same level up in your healing, your medicine practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the heavy medicine hands is the result of the combination between the Tongbi and the Tai Chi form.
Can we back up one step? Just back
Yeah.
up one step. Let's just say that in your and my idealism, I grew up in America, even though I went to Asia 30 plus times, but still I'm American.
Hmm.
You're European. When we look back at the Chinese traditions, that age of greatness, when these masters were supposed to have lived and thrived, we presume that they were complete. We have an idealism, maybe. We presume that they were complete in their personal development.
Hmm.
And it might be an idealism. And what I found was most methods don't have it. They don't have it. They talk about it, but they don't have it. You don't see the results. But I held on to that. And I think the information I came across with the Taiji trend and the Bagua trend and many other things, the Dao Gong and everything, a lot of things that I've come across over 50 years, holding on to that goal, looking for it, and then also being a clinician for 25 years and a teacher for 50 years. I think this is it.
Hmm.
We just speak in general terms, where finally there's a method that's recovered a lot of the lost memory.
Hmm.
And the Tong Bi is the open body, skill, intelligence. And the Taiji, let's say, is the closed body. Both are two expressions of the human being. Of
Okay.
course, as healers, you and I would relate to openness of the heart, consciousness, as the healing side. And then we'd relate the ability to deliver force out to the hands, skill, the hands as the martial.
Hmm.
But they come
I'm
together.
close.
Yes, this may be the solution that you've been looking for.
So the Tongbi is open and the Tai Chi is closed, and both together they produce the heavy medicine hands.
Right. Now,
Okay.
now they're each special. They each in their own right, when you look at the tradition, the masters, they each had heavy hands. Of course. Gong Bao Tian was very small. So was Yin Fu. But they had very heavy hands. So we go, okay, they had a method. And then Yang Shaozhong and how the Yang family became famous compared to all styles was that they had the heavy hands. And Yang Shaozhong, we always talked about that. His hands are so heavy. That means when you make contact, you buckle. You can't hold your structure in the point of contact.
I heard only about one Tai Chi master. You know Ben Lo?
Yes, Jiang Man Ching is one of his top students.
Yeah, he had very heavy hands. Um, I don't know if you mean the same thing, but from his students, I know that he was someone who could not compete with him.
I think there are others as well. I mean, William Chen, of course, was Wang Liannian in Taiwan,
Yeah,
who was a colleague of Jiang Man Ching, who did the Rougong, the soft, flexible relaxation, you know.
yeah,
And then Huang Shenshuan, the White Crane,
yeah.
uh, who was Jiang Man Ching's student as well. There are a lot of products from this lineage of
Do
people.
you think that what Wang showed in his YouTube videos is fake or
The
yeah,
White Crane guy?
yeah, from Malaysia?
Yeah. It
Hmm.
all depends on I mean, what's fake? Because teachers teach students how to react.
Yeah.
And they say that's correct. You're doing it right. So if he goes like this and they fall down, they collapse at the knees and fall down, then that's correct from that cultural standpoint. So it's not fake.
Mhm.
So it's not fake from that cultural
But it
standpoint.
is only between teacher and student. It's not something that can be done between the teacher and someone from the street.
Yeah. Well, then you're what's called a doubter. You're called a skeptic,
Hmm.
and that's not accepted. No, you know as well as I about communities, spiritual communities, right? If you don't give the guru or the Catholic Church or whatever,
Yeah.
if you go in and you have any bit of doubt, the Holy Spirit's not going to come through.
Hmm.
So you're a skeptic. So but the only way to justify your question line of question right here, Jan, is if you talk about real fighting.
Hmm.
Otherwise, everything's not fake because it's agreement.
Yeah.
Only in real fighting is there not agreement. So
Yeah.
so if we're talking that way, if we're talking about what's really useful, then we have to go back to the question of what made the Yang family so successful. Because they fought everybody,
Yeah. Hmm.
not just your little cult of disciples. And of course, that's been my line of reasoning as someone who's fought freestyle is I only wanted what worked. So may not show initially in how you're practicing the form. You follow the instructions of the square method and you go, it's pretty close to Jiang Man Ching. I would confirm that it's pretty close in insofar as what you're after is just that peacefulness. I think there's a common denominator there, but it's the developmental end that I think will make the difference. When I was in Boston 11 years and I was one of like the greeting party when people would come in, new people. And we get all sorts because at the time Jin Sun was the only one around and it was very hard power, pushing and no giving, just sheer power. So we'd get all sorts of people, practitioners coming in, and when it came to Tai Chi, they all did yielding. They were used to this, and
Yeah.
we just make them fold because we're so heavy and just we're not cooperating, and there's not this. You just lean on them when someone has a very heavy, unmoving weight against you, and you can't neutralize because it's just like bearing down on your center line and it keeps adjusting. You keep trying to find a way to hollow and relax, and then it just keeps boring in on you until you're just pinned down. That was the experience I had all the time. We had a lot of karate people because it was Wei Chi karate was in the next town, and the black belts came all the time, and they did something called sanshin, and they don't move. Just like that type of Okinawan karate. They
Yeah.
loved this. They loved it because it was similar. It was just unyielding, but I found them too rigid. They couldn't drop the power down because it's so external. But there was much more similarity. When you hit them, they didn't collapse. So
Hmm.
you couldn't get into those guys. You couldn't.
Hmm.
I'm hoping that just this short analogy would give you a sense for where the square method is going. Because if you already have students or partners, then during this period of training, even though we're doing Tong B, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you also adding to your training power pressing. Because,
How would that look like?
okay, the Tong B comes from a method where you separate out the organs and body parts. So you learn to separate.
Hmm.
And the type of skill that everybody at the workshop experienced was not just Tai Chi. It was a combination of horizontal power, but also vertical strength that comes from both. I'm looking back and going, that's probably why they couldn't understand what was going on. Because it wasn't the typical just I throw you away Tai Chi
Hmm.
power. Also, there was this intelligence that comes from Bagua, a training where you're always separating things out, like differential diagnosis, really keen differential diagnosis, to where the patient, they don't understand how you draw the conclusion about them
Hmm.
because you're able to see things that they can't see with their reality.
Hmm.
So that would be that sophistication. And then add that to this straight line force, this power, and then you've got both. And there you got the medicine and the self-defense together.
Hmm. But you say if I have a student I could practice with the heavy hands,
Uh,
I have to know how to do it.
I do have a course on G power pressing
Okay.
that's online. A lot of the guys who want to really learn it, they invest that in that, and it's very good. I take you through every step of how to set it up, why. I cannot make it the dedication of the Tong B because Tong B, I'm going to try to get you and everybody else to a new inner state. So they sort of conflict. You're doing this, but
But they go together.
well, I'm just trying. Well, because of all your experience, it's only because of your vast experience that you should be able to manage both on your own. I wouldn't say another person could do it, but because of all your experience, I should accommodate your level and not require like Alan. Alan, he's part of Cheng Man 1. He's a concert pianist. He's a world
Hmm.
class 400 premier performances. That's like a Juilliard. I mean, this guy, he's done Tai Chi for 20 years, but he and I are doing something different with it. Each student has their own project. This might be important for you to understand, Jan, where I'm coming from. Attainment in the original systems was not how good you are at the martial art. How good you get at martial arts, even those who became the bodyguards to the royal family. Skill is a byproduct of becoming a complete person.
Yeah.
I hold the bar high for the community here in that achievement will come when each of my students creates something brand new in the field. So I've already got my
Okay.
sights on you. If you don't get scared and you keep going with this, we're looking at you taking whatever skills that you've become expert at. Ian, another one of the students, he's a spiritual teacher. He loves Tai Chi and he knows the Yang family and everything. But his breakthrough will be in his spiritual teaching, whatever that is. So
Hmm.
we're not stuck to this little Tai Chi martial art. We're using it as a means for you to express yourself and to gain satisfaction in your life, whatever that
Hmm.
is, whatever you choose. But I'd be very interested in supporting you in, well, because I'm invested in I mean, like we'd be fighting the same enemy, and making breakthroughs and not afraid to be outspoken about it once you gain
Hmm.
the skill. If you gain that ability, then no one could question you. I have to keep it broad like this because it's up to you to decide, and you may not know now, but it'll happen on its own as you get the heavy medicine hand skill, how you can change your industry, how you can
Hmm.
evolve, wake people up, wake teachers up, wake your colleagues up even. You see? It might get to that point. It might. Not required.
Hmm.
I'm not requiring anything of you, but this is where this is what I like to do the best. I like to make people masters of their own endeavors. So you become the teacher of teachers, basically. When I say that, does anything ring? Any bells go off in the head?
Yeah, sure. The problem is that sometimes you make suggestions like doing the G power exercises with a student. Um, okay, I would like to do that. but then there's the practical implication, how to do it, and what steps should I follow. Um, so,
I'm very happy I made that course because that way you would have a reference. You could take it and it would pretty much guide you step by step as the first stages of what you as the teacher does and what them as your students do.
maybe you can send a link which one I should take first.
Are you sure you want to do that now?
Why not? You say both go very well together. So the Tongbi and the Tai Chi and the
No,
the
yeah, no, that's how it's designed. It's amazing the design. The design is this. The square method that was taught that Yang Shaozhong commissioned Jin Sun to teach in Boston. This massive power development went together with the square method that Yang Shaozhong taught Jin Sun. It was not accidental. It was by design. You do square method. Notice how you're always facing the shoulders, facing everything with your shoulders. You're not angling. And then I added Tong Bi to that. It's because I saw that people were like this, liver qi congestion leading to heart, even heart phlegm. A lot of bad.
That's maybe also because the Cheng Man Ching, one of his principles was body upright.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe that's quite similar to the Tong Bi.
To the square method. I agree. But the Jiang Man Ching method didn't have this.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't have that. So this was always hollow. And it's good. No criticism. We're just you and I are connoisseurs of systems. We're able to look at these objectively and examine them, which is I love doing that with you. It'll be great.
That was my second question when we started this conversation. What's the difference? What you're trying to teach with this Yang style Tai Chi form in comparison to the Cheng Man Ching form?
Right. So the square method resembles the Jiang Man Ching form, which is great. And I think you've caught on very quickly to that. It's different. It'll be different, but that'll come out later as you train. Okay. So no worries. But
I can't wait.
Okay. Now, have you seen Yang Shaozhong's online form?
Yeah.
Notice the lean?
Yeah.
Okay. That's my point. People don't figure that out. I mean, I came back after 36 years because I figured now that was leaked out. I know how it leaked out too. That's crazy, the story. Once it leaked out, I figured it's like, oh, the secrets, right? Yang Shaozhong, fourth generation, had all the power and stuff. I started tuning into the Tai Chi community and no movement at all, like zero. No response, no reaction. I go, okay, I'm really obligated to this family. So I'm going to give it a go here. To make it simple, I simplified it to two to make it easy, accessible. And so the angle method, which is a different way of doing the square form, has that lean. So that you know both. And you can choose at any moment what you want to do. It's a matter of choice. But the square method develops the repelling power, but not combat yet. The angle method leads to combat with the power that you're developing through the square form and the square pushing hands, toy show.
Okay.
With the angle method, there's no toy show. There's combat. And that's why I developed combat sport Tai Chi.
Yeah.
So that you can take all the power you develop in your square and this, there's a platform to really hone the striking and the trapping and all the Yang family use of it, which I learned.
Does the power that the square form develops, is it because the internal principles of doing the form are different than in Cheng Man Ching's?
Yes. We're just going to have to wait. I'm going to have to wait for your feedback so that I can respond to anything. That'll come. That'll come.
Do you use a different kind of tension in your, I mean, bodily tension,
Yeah.
muscle tension in the square method Tai Chi form? Or is it just as relaxed as possible?
Again, that's one of those things that we're going to have to talk about as you go further. I can't connect there because I don't know the Jiang Man Ching, the relaxation there. I don't know it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That'll come out. I like the fact that you're impatient. I need to say with a grain of salt that it'd be more pure for us to just every week relax into Tong B, but because you have so much already in your bank account in terms
Hmm.
of experience, I would agree to make an exception with you and you just go ahead. You're already set up your life to bring the power through right now, the power. That'll really answer a lot of your questions about the square form because they go together.
Okay.
They will answer a lot of questions. Yeah.